Okay, looks like we are live. Well, welcome everybody to another edition of Tuning In with Tony. Here on Friday, 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. Every week we come to you with a different topic and a different perspective of how Spirit is seeing our evolution here on Earth. And we've been doing this for, coming up to 5 years. We started January of 2021, so it'll be coming up to about 5 years doing this, and it's been a real joy to be able to do that. So today we're going to be talking about stillness in December. It's an ongoing topic in which we want to really dive deeper into what stillness really means and whether or not our minds have any ingredient in there at all. Like some people have a really hard time slowing down or calming down their mind, and they have a real difficulty in getting that mind to let things go. But it's not about that. So we're going to hopefully bring some light into what we're going to be talking about today. So this show has been brought to you by Higher Self. It's a group of teachers that's been brought together to bring a lighter vibration to the people that are asking. These are people that are going through various things in their life, and they want to start lightening their vibration, becoming lighter, becoming sort of, I guess the word is ascending, but that's so overused these days. But it is about lightening that vibration that people have. And that's what our quest is, to really find different ways to be able to do that. So we can do it in many ways. I mean, people could come in for a reading. Once you get the truth of really what's going on, it really amplifies your energy in that way. And the other thing is when we're looking at tuning sessions, this is like a massage, a vibrational massage. There's no physical touch, and it just basically works on the auric field that we are in. Be able to work on the energy or the exuding energy that is coming outside of us to lighten that up, or at least tune it to the point like a musical instrument. And when musical instruments are tuned, it all sounds so nice and so different when it's played with other instruments that are tuned the same way. So the tuning forks, they don't change its vibration, but we as humans change all the time. We have classes and workshops throughout the time, and in our quest for finding and sharing this information, which includes sound baths. We just had a sound bath very recently, and so if you ever want to look at any of our classes or workshops, or to find out when the next sound bathing will be, just go to our website, lovehigherself.com, and go to our events category, and it'll tell you everything. They'll give you some information of what it's all about and be able to give you some clarity as to how to register for the next one. Each one is very powerful, and it says something a little bit different, and it was wonderful, the latest one that we did, and it had the same theme in it where it's all about stillness and how to get to this place of stillness within us. So it's powerful stuff. The color today is neutral. So anything that you regard as neutral, whether it could be an earth tone, could be beige or white, whatever it is, it's just neutral in that way. So we want to be able to look at it, and in the theme today is, of course, balance. How to balance ourselves, and it's the same as what we did last week. This is the second part. We're talking about this last week, and was just so much information, and I got quite a few emails that they really liked that and wanted to get some more information on it and more of what Spirit saw in this stillness. Because a lot of it is really misconstrued in the sense that we're looking at, I have a hard time meditating, people will say. I have a hard time getting my mind to calm down because there's just so many things going on. So just to be clear, and we did cover this in the sound bathing event, but just to be clear about that, to get into this stillness, it has nothing to do with your mind. It has nothing to do with quieting your mind, relaxing your mind, thinking of something different. It's all about finding this part of you deep inside that is still, that is non-action. It doesn't require any effort in a sense, like, because when you are trying to calm your mind, what are you basically doing? It's all about effort. It's about trying to calm our mind, trying to do something, attempting to do it, and so it's like work. And the stillness is the exact opposite. It's about just going into this place inside of us, and we all have it. That's where your creator is. This is where all spirits are, because when you are in this hectic energy, heavy energy, and you're calling for help, that's not where they are. They hear you, of course, but that's not where they are. By going into this stillness, you're actually going into their realm, into their part of it, and it's deep inside of you, and it is not in your mind. That part of you is so powerful, it actually drowns out most of the things that the mind or the brain will be able to transmit through whatever waves that it is in, whether it's beta, alpha, whatever it is. But this is a very separate part of you, and it's in this stillness. We're going to talk about that for sure. So just to kind of keep going, in our just a quick recap, I should say, when we talk about stillness in the sense, it is about us as humans, and we are basically upgrading every minute of the day. Logistically, we could be upgrading in a very small way. The Earth has been changing its Schumann resonance. That's the Earth's vibration. It's been like that for millions of years, and over the last 50 years or so, it's been changing very dramatically because the Earth is an entity. It does have intelligence. So when we look at it that way, it wants to upgrade whatever the beings are on the surface, and that's all the plants, animals, us, everything. So when our vibration at 8 billion people are going down a little bit, the Earth will feel that and then slowly want to be able to upgrade that. But on top of the Earth, there's also sun flares and all various energies that are going through things, and that's a separate topic altogether. But all to say, when you boil it all down, there's a lot going on. All right? And so when we are in that space where we're trying to find, to get out of the dark, because at this point, Spirit has been watching human evolution through so many thousands of years, and it's just at a point now where this is the time that it would be perfect for us to ascend and to get out of the dark. But what does that mean? What does that mean to ascend? And so this is really where Spirit wants to introduce this concept of stillness inside of you. This dense energy that keeps shifting is going to be changing your mental, your physical state, your emotional state, and many other parts of you. And that's right now. But it's going to get more amplified. In other words, for some people, it's going to get worse. And it doesn't get worse because it's trying to hurt anything. It's just that our resistance to hold on to old stuff is very much at the pinnacle point. We need to let go of some of these things that are much, much heavier than light. Anger, guilt, the fact that you have to prove yourself, the fact that you are not thinking that you are this incredible entity on this planet, that you are this incredible person. Our beliefs of the past is actually hurting us. So a lot of people will say, well, how come if I'm trying to do all this spiritual stuff, it's painful? For some people it is. For some people it's a uncomfortable feeling. It's this feeling that you just feel restless. You just feel like you're just not getting anywhere. You're not really figuring that you're performing. You're not... Your productivity is way down, or whatever the case is, whatever way you measure, however way you feel, you attribute it to trying to get into this lighter life. But it's not that process that's making it more difficult for you. It's the fact that we're holding on to heavier things. If you look at it from one perspective, if you're at a train station and you have one foot on the train and the other foot on the station pavement floor, that is probably not the most optimal. Either you got to be on the train, which will be safe, or you stay at the station and you'll be safe. but there's nothing more dangerous than being in both. And that's what's really kind of happening if we give that analogy, because we want to get to this higher place, but we want to stay at the station. So when the train starts moving, and that's what we really want movement, we want advancement, we want to move forward, the other foot is really dragging, and it can only drag for so long before it becomes an issue. So when do we let go of some old stuff? Why are we still holding on to some of these things? Because that's the way we're trained. We have to realize and not take it internally, and I've heard this from quite a few people, over the many years I've been doing readings and so on. Sometimes the dialogue comes out by saying, why am I having such a hard time letting go of this stuff? I'm so happy to let this go, but yet it's still sort of plaguing me. It's still coming up. Because there's something about that energy that you feel in some way is benefiting you. Now, of course, on the surface, you're realizing that relationship that didn't turn out or whatever happened wasn't optimal. And yeah, that can go. But it goes a lot deeper than that. Buddha says we have 11 different levels of letting go. And so letting go is a really used term, and it sounds easy to do, but this part where you're just actually letting something go is the easy part. Everything else is whether I should, what's going to happen. Some of the more great examples would be if a person is in an abusive relationship, and even though it's not a great system or it's not a great way that the system is going, they feel that if this person, they leave this person, no one else will love them. So at least a relationship that isn't working is better than no relationship at all. And of course that changes as soon as there's physical abuse, and then it amps up into something very serious. And then you have to go just to preserve yourself. And then it comes that, why did I wait so long? So in other words, we're always hoping, and this is one of the angelic parts of us, is where we look inside of us, where we're angelic, we want to give someone else the benefit of the doubt, that they're going to improve, they're going to get better. So many women, even when they get physically abused, all the person has to say is, I'm sorry, baby, it won't happen again, and they'll go back. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, but I am saying what part of you was convinced of that it was a hope that it will never happen again, or was it your heart that's saying maybe you should move on? This is the time to move on. You won't be in this position again, because when you actually make the effort to move out, and they want you to come back, that's the best position to look at the longer term effects of that, whether or not it's going to be optimal for you. Again, it's not a be-all and end-all thing. It has to be an individual. What are you feeling inside? What kind of a intuition are you getting to stay? Or are you staying because of fear? Or are you staying because of guilt? And most of those are heavier energies, and they rarely work out. So this is where we need to really take that second look. So we have been introduced, when we were doing this last week, to this concept and this consciousness of stillness. Okay? It's still where the Creator is and everything else. But you need to rest and time in our own bodies to shed those low energies. Sometimes when we look at the way we are feeling, we're tired. You've never lie down in the middle of the day. 2 o'clock comes around and, oh my God, I need to take just a quick nap. And I says, oh no, I don't. That's just being lazy, or that's just being you don't feel you're very strong. You might feel even weak. And it is actually the opposite, because when you are feeling that you need to lie down, and you feel that, I just need to preserve myself, if you went ahead with that, it is your realization that you know that your body is expanding and getting rid of this stuff, whatever it is that's in your tissues and the issues and everything else, that is making it so your body will be able to hold more light. And that's really what it comes down to. When you understand that, then you could start resting. It doesn't mean you're going to be resting for the rest of your life at 1 or 2 o'clock in the middle of the day. It just means right now, as you are transforming, as you are advancing to this higher vibration, it is tiring. Your body has to work so hard to try and keep up, because a vibration is work to keep it there. I mean, it's just like anything else. When you start, let's say a person is 50 pounds overweight. Well, all of a sudden, the first thing you should be doing is not going right deep down and starting to lose weight. What Spirit is saying is, first of all, let's get to the point where we don't gain any weight at all. In other words, we're maintaining. So if you're 50 pounds over, one concept, I mean, we're not here to argue, but one concept is if you are gaining like a pound, they say about we're gaining about 2 to 3 pounds a year, and over the course of many years, we those are the ones that are added. So maybe at first, it might be a great opportunity to eat a little differently, maybe do a little more activity to maintain so you don't go over that 50. So you can maintain that. And then once you've maintained it, then bring a little bit more, then amp it up, so then you start losing a bit. But I think what happens in many cases, and we're just coming up to New Year's in our world, and I know there's going to be a barrage of New Year's resolutions once they realize that, okay, this is New Year's, this will be great, I'm going to lose 50 pounds, or I'm going to do whatever you're going to do. I want to be healthier. So whatever your goals are, these are New Year's resolutions. It's just made at the moment because you realize you have an entire year ahead of you. And so there's more than enough time to be able to achieve those goals. And that's the mind shift in that way, because what happened when it was in June? You still had half a year to be able to do it, but we figured, no, it's only half a year. We'll just wait until it starts over. Not that we're actually cognitively thinking that way, but definitely when we start in the beginning, we say, okay, now this year, and then you say what your goals are. So it's by doing things, first of all, in the sense that why are we putting so much emphasis on effort, so much emphasis on trying to lose weight, trying to find a better partner, trying to be a better person, trying to be in this higher state of spiritual, whatever your journey is. And so we're going to be talking about that for sure in this show, because rest is not laziness. It's basically you're trying to get part of this and upgrading yourself and knowing that is happening, and you got to give yourself a break. Because if a good friend of yours came to you and said the exact same thing that you're saying, I'm tired, I'm going through this shift, and I am feeling that there is moments of happiness, but then I sink down, what would you tell that person? You certainly wouldn't tell that person to, just buck up, buttercup, and, you could do better, and because that's what we say to ourselves. It's like, I can't keep doing this. What do you say to that person? You say, well, just do the best you can. Just to realize that this and this is happening, and it's going to take some time. So giving your friend a break should be at least something that you're going to do that to yourself as well. All right? And burnout, that's another thing. It's called spiritual burnout. I'm not sure if you've ever heard this term. I've heard it several months ago, but I'm starting to hear it more and more, where people are trying so hard to be in this spiritual zone, to be spiritual, whatever that means to some people. And so there's almost a burnout where they're trying to hold their light, they're trying to do all these things, listening to meditation tapes, going to all the classes, and there's always this push, this force, and this forward movement, and they're exhausted. And no wonder that's one reason why they might need to take a nap halfway through the day, or just before bed, or something, or go to bed sooner. Some people still go to sleep at midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, and that's the time where you should be connecting to spirit. When you are in this deeper sleep, you are actually with your spiritual crowd. If you go to bed a lot later, it delays that reaction, and humans, we call it the REM sleep, the rapid eye movement. It's that very deep delta sleep that we get. And sometimes 2 hours of delta sleep, whoa, do you ever feel good? This is sometimes where we get up at, let's say, 5 a.m., and then you think, oh, it's still too early to get up. I'm just going to take a quick nap. And then you get up at like 8. So those 3 hours, and it was an amazing sleep, absolutely amazing, because you went into delta mode. You connected with spirit. You had a chance for your body to able to regenerate itself, rejuvenate itself as well. Okay? So there's so many things about that. But it isn't about effort. This E word, Spirit is really picking on this. We're more than likely going to have a part 3. We're going to talk more about effort, but we're going to touch on it a little bit in this class. Effort itself is a mode where you are trying to get something done. There's this effort because, we've all been conditioned to work hard. At least you made the effort, as people would say. I know things didn't work out, but at least you made the effort. As if that made any sense whatsoever. I mean, maybe it would make a young child feel good if they're playing baseball and they didn't win. And at least you're out there, you had fun, you made an effort. Okay, that is okay. But we realize that when we're working on ourselves, just to say that we need to sort of push and get this thing going, because we are using the same principles to attain, like a house or a car or, be a good friend, that effort as with ourselves. Because we're still putting in the time and the effort. And that's where Spirit says we need to separate that because it isn't about effort. All right? It's about surrender. It's about surrendering of what is needed is more. To release the idea that you have to be on all the time. You have to be spiritual all the time. You have to be, what does that mean? Well, we have different pictures in our head of what that could translate to in terms of being spiritual all the time. But it is a phase-in process. You're not going to be, if you were always like human all the time, meaning you were always reacting to people and you were always in this darkness, and finally people will say, there was a certain day that I sort of woke up. You could have met somebody. You could have taken a class or taken a yoga class, or maybe you did a meditation once and it was so profound you sort of started waking up. Well, that's what it means. When you start waking up, it doesn't mean you're going to go right to full spirituality. It's going to be a phase in, and you have to sort of fit each energy as you go through it. It's a little bit like trying on clothes. You're not sure what you're going to be good in, so you're going to try a few things. You're not going to go into a clothing store, pick up the first thing, and wear it, unless you're me. Because sometimes guys don't like shopping. We know what we want. We go in, we buy it, we get out of there. So we're pretty simple that way. Like, we don't really have a really thing about that. But there are some people that are looking for a certain look, and this is wonderful because in the clothes and the colors and the textures that we are wearing, we're trying to help us evolve in that way, and clothing is absolutely one of them. All right, so women, you really got it going there. So, but the idea here is many equate effort and speed with performance and productivity. In other words, something has to be fast. So when I'm doing this spiritual work, I want it to be quick. I want to, let's just keep this moving. Meanwhile, 30 years it took you to wake up, and you want to get all this done in a year, or 6 months, or sometimes 3 months. It's going to take some time. And when we give us some time, and then time is not a factor, that's when you really start amplifying. When you're trying hard and you're putting in force, it actually delays the whole process. Because when you're in that spiritual world, it's all about light. And you can't push light. There's nothing you can do with it. Nothing you can do with light. Okay? It's all about a lack of resistance. It has nothing to do with productivity. Or it has to, or timing. I got to be there at a certain time because I see my neighbor. She's on the porch doing yoga every morning. I didn't see her do that before, but she's starting to do that, and I'm starting to see that now she's becoming more in the community and she's happier. So I want to do that. as fast as she is, or they are. And when we compare, that's when we really start slowing down, because we think other people are amping up more. And we don't know what the reason is, why they're doing and why they outwardly are doing things. But also keep in mind that many people, when they start out in that spiritual part, a lot of it is just the narrative where we need to see or show other people that we are spiritual. And this, you can really see that when people go into, whether it's a religious gathering or whether it's in church parking lots or something. I don't know how many times I've walked by at the time of taking my dog, and the church just let everybody out, and inside they were praying and saying forgiveness, I love you all. They get in the parking lot and everyone's fighting to get out, and they're yelling, bopping their horns, and I go, wait a second, is this the same person that was inside saying about, give the other person like a chance? So it's a bigger thing when you're living it. So that's going to take some time. All right. So when we look at it that way, it's so much better. It's not measured in productivity. It's measured by alignment. Everything has to be aligned. So the burnout part of it that people are sort of referring to, this spiritual burnout, this constant effort over and over. And these are the heavy struggles that we go through, and they're almost feeling like it's a job or it's a task. There are some things that, like even now, when I'm given certain things, I mean, beginning of the year, when I got the notice through more and more of the meditations that I was doing every day that I needed to get into crystal bowls. I need to get it because up until then I only had the tuning forks, and I did have some Tibetan bowls, but it was just starting. And then I had to get into Tibetan bowls and then crystal bowls and gongs and so on. But that didn't come overnight. And when they said I had to go into crystal bowls, and I says, okay, I know they're great. I've heard them and they're wonderful. But yeah, you need to do that. But they didn't say anything about sound bathing up until then. So there was a little, not so much resistance, but I was just wondering, where are they going with this? And in that where are they going with this? Guess what? I was slowing down. It's not for me to find out how to drive the car looking at the rearview mirror, right? That's what a lot of people do. They said, okay, we're going to turn left, but in the rearview mirror, there's nothing there. But you have to turn left because it's in front of you. So they see what's in front, and it didn't take long actually, because I've been conditioned like this for many years. So it was just in the very beginning, it was just something kind of new. So I said, okay, I'll go with it. So a month before my first sound bathing, the Spirit says, okay, you need to go and see this lady outside of Toronto and pick up all your stuff. And while I was there, I was getting to pick out at least 5 or 6 bowls and 1 gong. Well, how many do you think I brought home? 5 gongs, and I had to pick out a set of 13, because I do everything like with a lot of intensity. And so Spirit knew that. I'd fall in love. I says, hey, this is great. Now, what if you did this sound with that sound? Well, if you did that, it would sound like this. And I says, oh, man, that would be great. So I only had a budget of a very small budget, and I blew it. I went way over, like over 5 times what I was planning to spend. And I says, okay, well, there's no way this lady's going to have me take this home. And basically the lady says, I don't know what it is, Tony. I've only met you just now, but I can feel I can trust you. So you can. It's okay. You can take it home, and we'll work it out. My jaw dropped. I says, oh my God, no way. So I knew that was divinely sent. So we did that and had everything taken care of. But the point is, when it was first introduced, there's resistance. And that's what we're going to be learning how not to do. Just being able to be in alignment. If this is what I need to do, I don't need to know why. I always use the example that if you're if you're in a building and let's say 4 or 5 stories up, there's a crane bringing in a piano, trying to put it in the front window, and you're under the piano. and then somebody says, Tony, you need to move. And I'm going, what direction? It doesn't matter. Just don't be where you are, because in case the piano falls, it doesn't matter whether I'm left or right, or just don't stay there. So that's one analogy I was given years ago. And now when I'm said, okay, just move, and I just move. I just don't. But that takes practice. That takes a lot of faith in yourself. Okay? So they're saying, be a part of this, that eventually this will be your intelligence. You're going to stop holding things, stop pushing, forcing, and tolerating light. Tolerating light. I know that's maybe not a thing, but that's what kind of we do. We tolerate it, but just follow it. There's a reason why something is being said, and that's going to be your new intelligence, because eventually you're going to be making most of your decisions based on your heart. The intelligence of the light in your heart is going to pull you to whatever you feel you need to do. It won't be part of your brain. Your brain will be just saying, okay, let's go. So in the meantime, while you're doing this and letting all these ascension energies go, light is sculpturing the painful vibrations out of you. Because your body knows what are the unwanted pieces. When Michelangelo, there was some kind of scripture meant through this, and whether it was a channeling, but it was many, many years ago that I heard this, that Michelangelo was asked one time, he takes this rock, this big boulder of a rock, and within a few, weeks and months, he's carving out this beautiful statue. He says, how do you do that? How do you just make this? Because he says, it's very easy, because the statue is in the rock. I'm only taking away the unwanted pieces. So the question says, how do you know what the unwanted pieces are? And I think that's a great question. When we look at ourselves, your body knows what is heavy. Your body knows what needs to go. It also knows how to ascend. It is our mind that is constantly thinking and second thinking about the whole situation. So you need to let light reshape you. And it reshapes your nervous system as well, because your nervous system is all about feelings, and this electromagnetic field that we have, it's all part of your nervous system. And this is why a lot of people are having a lot of mental conditions right now, and it's going to become more amplified, because as we start amping up this energy and more people are holding on to the old stuff, those two is like a perfect storm. We're going to have more mental health problems when people want to hold on to the older things. They can't forgive somebody, or there's this guilt that they can't get rid of, or this feeling that they're not enough. No matter how many people say to them, oh, you're really great. The boss could give you a raise, saying, hey, you did a really great job there. And, everything around them could say that they are doing a fantastic job. But then you ask them, no, I'm not doing very well. I don't feel I'm really that good. And so what does it take for some people to be able to get past this? So what it is, it's not a mental thing. There's an energy that's tied up and blocked somewhere, that it is telling them that you're no good, that you suck, that you're not a person that is worthy of anything. That's an energy. So it's getting to that energy and saying, look, this is how it's going to go. And then you dictate how that is going to go. So when it depends on what and who or what you are following. If you're following the voice that says you're no good, well, then you're going to be getting the productivity based on that. If you're getting that and you're saying, I don't believe that, and then there's another voice that says you are worthy. You've been worthy since birth. I'm going to listen to that one, because that's more appealing to me. And the more you listen to the one that makes you feel stronger, the other one kind of drowns out, because you're not listening to it. Right? When people don't listen to other people, that's their first complaint. I stopped talking because nobody's listening to me. Right? People do the same thing. So energy does the same thing. As long as energy realizes you're listening, you're there, you're present, it'll keep talking. Even if it's not to your good, it is to your detriment. It will still do that. So it's reshaping us. Okay? And so the spiritual journey will no longer need effort or trying or pushing. It's all about being in grace. It's all about being in a certain way of being. It'll be the elimination of effort altogether. About 80 years ago, or in that area, there was a point in our human history that we didn't have hot water. Let's go with the most basic things. I was looking up a couple of stats on this, and it was very, very interesting. In the 30s and 40s, there were very, very few people that had hot water. And if you wanted to take a bath, it would be an hour before you could fill a tub of cold water, or it was, let's say, half full of cold water, and you had to keep adding boiling water from a stove that you had to feed wood or gas or coal or whatever way they were doing then to be able to warm up the water to a point where it's boiling, and so that you could take a bath. At least an hour. Okay? And this was really interesting because it took all that time, and it was effort. Boy, oh boy, it was really hard. So there was a lot of people that just did sponge baths in the meantime, and then there was a time where, okay, we have to take a bath, and so they had to sort of pretty much book off the evening to be able to do this. And this is, of course, at a time where most families had between 3 and 8 kids. So, well, what do you think happened when you have that many people? Well, if it takes an hour to come up with hot water, everybody bathes on the same night because you don't want to, you're conserving the hot water, right? Otherwise, you're going to be in cold water, and they didn't want to bathe their kids in cold water, so it's nice to have warm water. So they took fast baths, and they had the soap and everything, and everybody took the bath at the same time. And this is indicative. There are some families that had 10, 12, 13 kids, and so what else would they do? So this is one of the things that it was a lot of effort to be able to do all these things, okay? And forget the showers. I mean, nobody had a shower because what's the point of having running cold water on your body? So they had that already. So to have a shower, you need hot water. So so they had baths. They because that's the only time where you could heat it up in a safe way. Okay? So whenever we're doing that, what do you think happens with it when all of a sudden you get hot water? Now, we could go over to a faucet and just turn a knob, and we have instant hot water anytime we want. We're not even looking at effort anymore, right? There's no effort. There's no trying. There's no force. There's no pushing. There's nothing. You go, take a shower. You take your 3 to 5 minutes, however long you take a shower, and you're done. Just like that. And until we think about it, we don't even think about it that it's even gratitude. But if somebody says, what happened if you didn't have any hot water? Like when your power goes out or there's no hot water, boy, oh boy, you sure feel it. Oh, geez, the cold water. I wonder what it would be like to have cold water all the time. Well, 80 years ago, that was the norm for the majority of the population. And I was being told that about 2.5 billion people, even today, have no hot water. And that isn't even the biggest casualty in all of that. There's 5 billion people on this earth that even have access to drinking water. It usually has parasites in it, and these are the conditions, and that's today, 2025. So when we look at how we are doing this, and the gratitude that we have gratitude for fresh water, and we also have gratitude for hot water. But there's still right now about 30% or so that doesn't have hot water. And so when we look at it that way, that's a little bit like spirituality. Because look how hard it takes to get hot water when you don't have the faculties. And then when you have it, it's like, oh, it's effortless. That's what spirituality is about. Because when you are spiritual and your light is all through you, there's no trying, there's no effort, there's no struggle, there's no pushing. You just are. In other words, your spirituality is you. How hard do you have to try to be what you are right now? Nothing. We only have to struggle when we want to be more than we are. Like we want something else that we perceive we don't have. Then we figure that's when the struggle starts. But to be where you are right now, how hard do you have to work and struggle and in the effort to be exactly who you are? Okay? So spirituality is like that. When we accept and receive that light, then that's who we are. There's no effort needed whatsoever. Okay? And this is what Spirit is sort of suggesting. All right? So when we are right in that, the first part of this part, or the ending, I mean, is this: we're going to be in time, all of us will be, but it'll just be the first wave of people that'll show the rest how to do it. You'll be in this state of grace. To be in that state of grace, you need to be open and you need to be receiving and receptive. But to be receptive, you've got to find ways to connect to your stillness. See, that's where the stillness comes back. When you can find your stillness, and some people will search and search, and after a while they'll finally attain and feel that, I think I've attained, I think I've experienced it for just a few moments. Know that once you are in there, it's going to be addictive. You'll want to be there all the time. And in time, you will be in stillness anytime you want. Just like hot water. Before the stillness and the hot water, you had to work so hard to get the hot water. But once you now have hot water, you can just go to a tap and just open a faucet, and you're in. You've got your hot water. It'll be like that for stillness. When you've got that stillness, then you'll be receptive, you'll be able to control your light, you'll be in grace, and that is really what we're all looking for. So this is why Spirit is bringing up this stillness, because it's the first real big step to advancing your spirituality in a real way. And they're saying, stop trying. Stop with the effort, okay? Because the more we push on a rope, it doesn't make any difference. Nothing moves if we push on a rope. But if we just let it, and let the rope guide us, it will pull us where we need to go. The stillness has an energy that it wants you. Rumi said it best when it said, when you want something, in this case, let's say it's stillness. When you want something, anything, that energy also wants you. There is that reciprocal, that reverse law that we talk about sometimes. Anything that you want, it wants you. So when you want that stillness, realize that it will meet you halfway, but it won't come all the way to drag you in. You have to make the effort to say, look, here I am, and just make it look and feel easy. That's the best thing I could do. It's just like when we keep talking about chasing the puppy starts to bolt. But when we sit down and we bring our hands open in love, the puppy comes with us, to us. And that's what we're sort of shooting for. Okay? Now we're going to play the Stillness in December meditation that we created last week. And we've been having some incredible downloads on that particular meditation. But know this, it is on our website. We have a link on there. Just go to lovehigherself.com. Go to podcasts in the category on top. And then it'll take you right to our podcast in meditation, and it'll take you to our show that we are doing for these. That's 52 minutes worth of meditation. I've never heard anything over 27, which is really, really big. And you know who has that one? Me. I had to beat my own record, sort of thing. I've never heard of a meditation be that long. But the thing is, it wasn't about the length. When we channeled the raw part of that meditation, it was with gongs and tuning forks, and it was with these crystal bowls. No soundtrack. You're going to hear soundtrack today because we've added that for meditative purposes. But in its raw form, it's this raw, pure energy. And the people that are members, they got a link on that, so they have that as well. So we took that, and it took 52 minutes and a bit to get to the message journey. And then I said to myself, humanly, well, this is too long. We got to cut it down. And they said, no, you can't. It's a journey. It's like this is it. It's just like there's nothing to cut. It's a story. Like if I told you a joke and then I didn't give you the punchline, you'd be upset. If I waited half an hour to talk about a joke and then the punchline comes and I says, okay, that's it, because it was too long to begin with. He says, well, what's the punchline? And it's like that with this one, because the message took 52 minutes and 36 seconds. And the Spirit says, no, you can't cut that. Some other ones I was able to cut because of the nature of what the purpose was. But this one is the journey to stillness. And who wants to cut that halfway? You're going to go halfway and you won't make it. Okay. So that's the way they explained it to me. It says, okay, so if you're going to listen to this, we're going to play a little piece of it. Obviously, we had about 15 or so minutes. We'll play that. But I'll give you the link, or you can go to our site and you can get the link on your own. Stillness in December. You could Google it. We're in 15 different podcast places. Listen to it. Reserve yourself about an hour in a room where there's no distractions, no interruptions. Take your phone out of the room. Take your electric watches off. Just get yourself un-EMF'd. Okay? Don't have any electronics in the room if you can. Get rid of the cordless phones and get rid of the iPods, the computer. Don't do this in your office where you're beside a CPU or something. Make it so that it's in a neutral place. That was the sort of the color, neutral. Everything is your body can withstand it. And then just make yourself in a comfortable place, on a sofa, on a lounge, recliner, whatever it is, and just let yourself sink in and go with that. Okay, we're going to connect to that stillness. All right. I want you to breathe in the color neutral, whatever that means for you. Whether it's beige or whatever it is, Spirit's not giving it a color, because that's up to you. Whether it's gray or other things, it's something that means to you that's neutral. Okay? And then we'll see you in a bit. This was just part of a doorway that you can address later, but just take a little inventory of how you feel. What came to you during this last 15 minutes, which is just a portion of the soundtrack. You get certain images, certain feelings of being free, or you were maybe frustrated. Sometimes when something wants to come out, we have resistance. There's a frustration there. Okay. Slowly come out of the state that you're in, come back. Take another deep breath. And just before we go, Spirit wanted to just let you know that stillness arrives when you treat your inner world as sacred. In other words, for you it's a thing to protect yourself from drama, gossip. So much going on in the world right now that makes absolutely no difference to you. You can still care, but you don't have to be in the situation. You take another nice deep breath. Know that in time, you will be led by your spiritual intelligence. And it just takes time to reconnect, because at one point in your soul's history, you were connected. And it took many, many thousands of years for you and your body to go in another direction to see if that would be any better. And so only you will be able to answer that, if it's any better than where you used to be. And then you'll make the choice to go back. I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, and happy you are loved. That's another religion I heard recently. Happy you are loved. That way it has nothing to do with religion. It's just you are loved just for being a human, just for being on this earth at this time. Hope you have a good time with your family and friends, and know that even if you don't celebrate the way other people do, there's something that you can be grateful for, something that you could celebrate at this time. If this stillness is any indication, you'll be celebrating yourself. So until next week, stay safe, drive safe. Please don't text and drive. And until next week, we will see you then. Okay? Love you all.